It's time for Expert Alert, your chance to ask questions and get answers from experts.
Good morning. It is Thursday. It is time for Expert Alert. Thanks for joining us on all of our streaming platforms. We're here every Thursday talking to the expert. Now listen, if you are joining us and you'd like to ask questions, you need to follow us over here or follow us over to the WLOX Facebook page. And then you'll see here, click on the video, and then right at the bottom, ask your questions. If you have any questions for our expert, you'll put them there, and then when I see them, I will then ask the expert, and you can get your questions answered in real time. Today is all about real estate. Our expert, Justin Allen, founder and CEO of eAgent. How are you?
Hey, nice to have you, Chet. Thank you.
Good to be here. So I'm glad you're here with us this morning. A little chilly start, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
We clearly got the blue jacket memo.
I know. I got here and I was like, we got everything but the beard and the glasses for me.
That's
I missed
it.
that.
We even go to the same hairdresser,
I
the
know.
whole nine.
It's like not everybody's got this, benefit.
This is dangerous. Getting us on the stage together at the same time. So let's talk about real estate. eAgent. Now look, I have family in the business,
Yep.
and so but I've seen these. You see the signs in the front yards. I've seen more eAgent signs now than I really have. I've seen just about anything else. So tell us about eAgent.
Well, I've been in the business with my wife here. This year will be 24 years, so we've been, on the Gulf Coast doing real estate for a long time. And about 6 years ago, we decided to start our own franchise, call it eAgent, and we own one of the franchises that we were going to do real estate anyway, so we decided to open one of our own franchises in Ocean Springs, and it kind of just led to having other franchise offices, and we've got a total of 9 here on the coast and 1 in Jackson. We've got 8 franchisees, and decided just to take that next step and offer more opportunity to the agents themselves and help them grow into their own broker owner position and grow beyond the agent.
Now, before we started on camera, you'd mentioned that you don't know if then, knowing what you know now, you may have taken the same bold step forward.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad I was naive a little bit in the beginning to think that, well, yeah, you can just start your own franchise, and then I realized, that's pretty expensive. It's really expensive, actually. But, of course, over the years, you just compiles and you start getting better and better at it, and it's been definitely a ride, but I think we've got it down to a science now, and I'm really looking forward to scaling regionally and everything else. So yeah,
that's awesome. What is it about eAgent that makes it so different than all of the other agencies that are out there? There's a lot. Yeah. There are a lot of brokerages. There are a lot of agents out there. What is it? Yeah. What separates eAgent? What's the differentiator?
I would say there's 2. When you look at what the E stands for. The E is, we've got kind of 2 different ways of looking at it. One is more public focused, which the E stands for expert. So we're looking at expert agent. And the reason why we want to do that is we've got about 70 agents over our offices on the coast here. And we try to make sure that everybody's got kind of an expertise in land, any kind of local, area, if it's Diamond Head or if it's Long Beach or if it's a specific like Wool Market or subdivisions, those kind of things. But even like with dealing with first-time home buyers, veterans, or types of property, whether it be multifamily, investment property, new construction. We'll talk of this, of course, about today, and a lot of different categories in real estate. There's so many different variables when it comes to real estate, and we want to make sure that all of our agents are expert in, at least one of those categories. So when people are looking to buy or sell, that we've got somebody that specializes in either that property type, that specific area, or that client type, and what they're looking for, and we got a good match there. So the E stands for expert agent when it comes to being publicly focused, but being like agent focused on the backside, the E stands for empowered agent. And we teach our agents to invest in real estate as well as helping their clients invest, but also, like I was saying before, if they want to grow into a broker owner role and have their own office, well, we've got classes and we teach agents on how to run and operate their own brokerage before they actually take that leap. So they're not just kind of winging it when they get to that position. They already know a lot about it, and it's just a much more flawless process when you've got those stepping stones.
Sure. You mentioned that you also you do a lot of working with folks who are looking to make investments.
Yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, that's why I got involved in real estate. Back in the 90s, I watched the Carlton Sheets infomercial, and grabbed the course for that 99 bucks or whatever it was, and I was like, well, this is going to be fantastic. And then, of course, you go through a few years of that and trying to realize, different things and learn a lot. And I wanted to basically get my license to have access to the MLS. And the more I got into investment property and doing a lot of those kind of things, the more I started working on the agent side too, and being a broker owner. And we've opened up our own brokerage in 2004, 5, something like that. So it's about 20 years what we've kind of done our own thing in that market. But I also run the Real Estate Investor Association here on the coast. We meet here on DeBees Road at the Realtor Building on the first Tuesday of every month. It'll be this coming Tuesday from 6 to 8 p.m. And we talk about investment property, how to do that, the best way to buy and sell property, and sometimes creatively, all those kind of things.
So for someone who's watching right now that is kind of teetering on the decision on whether or not they want to take the step into home ownership, how do you prepare somebody? Because it's not as easy as saying, I think I'm going to buy a house. It's not. Yeah. There's a lot that goes into that. How do you tell somebody to prepare? Or what do you tell them rather to prepare them for this sort of gauntlet that they're about to throw themselves into?
Well, I think for somebody who hasn't done it before, they're a first-time home buyer, they are very intimidated by the process, right? Where they go online or see Netflix or whatever, and they think it's really easy, and when they kind of realize that they've got to go through their tax statements and bank statements and everything else and trying to qualify for a lot of the loan products and stuff, it can be, there's red tape in it, but also the benefits, I think, outlast the kind of the hump you have to get over in the beginning. But once you do it once, you're not going to go back to like renting. Once you've had home ownership benefits, it's like you get it now, But I do think that I think here's another thing that I'm finding not really an issue with, but I think that no one's really paying attention to, because if you look back maybe 15 or 20 years ago, when you were looking for affordable housing, you bought a fixer-upper. You don't see that anymore. People aren't buying fixer-uppers. I think it's because when we have 3% interest rates for so long, and you see two houses side by side, one is fixed up for another $25,000, $30,000 more, and one is less, you're going to buy the one that's already fixed up, because it's about $75, $80 in your payment. So people aren't going to go spend the extra $10,000 or $15,000. But today with higher interest rates, that's more of a bigger factor, like it used to be before 3% interest rates. So I think, to me, if you really want to get into first-time home ownership, I would try to find something with a little fix-up that needs new carpet and paint, and you fix up over time. You can get it to the property a lot less expensive. And when rates come down at some point, you can always refinance the rate. You can't refinance the price.
Right.
So that's
when rates when rates come down at some point.
At some point. I think it's inevitable when it comes down to that. Are we going to see 3%? I think maybe if something crazy happens, but we see crazy a lot these days.
I was going to say, crazy seems to be the norm.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, what level is crazy now? So I think, and when you look at interest rates, I think we'll probably have a really similar 2026 as we did to 2025, with it being probably a quarter, maybe a half point difference. I'm hoping we're going to see that 5.75 as a kind of a median, but we're probably in that 5.9, 5.99 in that range. But then, of course, mine is crazy, so we'll see how that plays out.
Man, my house that I bought a house years ago in Tradition that we just sold, and it was 2.75, and those are just it's like that's not anytime soon. Yeah, this year's away.
No, I just spoke
I
just spoke to somebody who was at 1.8, and I was like, wow, just like, what do you do? But I do think when you're looking at it this way, if somebody really has like that 2 and 3% interest rates, what I would tell them is, rent it out. Mm-hmm. You've got a good spread there, and take that money and put it into the property you're either downsizing or upsizing or having to move or whatnot, and rent it out and keep that interest rate. Let it roll into a better investment property for you, and just have somebody property management for you, because you don't want to do the commode calls and 10 o'clock at night and all that kind of stuff. So let somebody else do that. Right. Yeah, it doesn't have to be a headache when somebody else does it.
That's right. What about those folks who who want to make this step but may not have the down payment ready yet, or may not have their maybe their credit's not in a place where it needs to be? How do you educate those folks to get them prepared?
Yeah, I mean, I hand them over to our mortgage lender. We've got a preferred guy, Chris Ladner with Gulf South Mortgage. He's been around for a long time, very reputable, and he'll walk them through the process and see where they are now and where they need to be, and what the steps are to get them there.
So it's a process from beginning to end that you kind of support and personalize.
Yeah, because everybody's version of what they're trying to get to and where they're wanting to go is going to be different. So we want to make sure that that it's tailor made to them specifically, because every house isn't the same. So, well, when you look at some new neighborhoods now,
right,
they can look a little cookie cutter, but other than that, the path can be very different for everybody.
Sure. What about the market as a whole? What is, from your perspective? Oh, hold on. Looks like we may have a few questions here. I didn't look at this back. So let's see. Okay, there aren't any questions. So
there are any good questions?
There's some comments. They're comments. I'll check back. Yeah, I don't see any comments. So what I was going to say is, from your perspective, kind of give us an idea, because people will hear when they're talking about purchasing a home, you'll hear it's a buyer's market, you'll hear it's a seller's market. Yeah. So kind of what is the difference between for those who aren't aware, what is the difference between a buyer's market and a seller's market?
If you're working with an agent and you're putting in an offer and it's multiple offer situation where you're 10 or 15 offers, that's a seller's market. You're going to be hard pressed to find the house that you're looking for at the price you want. But right now, I think and there again too, if you're the only person putting in an offer and you're the only offer that's been in for 90 days, that's probably a buyer's market. I mean, that's generally the idea, right? So when you've got more supply, more inventory on the market than buyers are willing to purchase, then that's going to be a buyer's market. And right now, we're kind of in that teeter-totter. We're right in the kind of the middle. And I think a lot of people think that we're in a more buyer's market, but I think they feel that way because we've just come through a huge seller's market, and I would say the feeling of where we are now is feeling like it's more of a buyer's market than we've seen, because it's been absolutely crazy. 2021, 22, kind of a little bit into 2023, but since then I'd say it's kind of been a little more stable, which I think is a very good thing, because actually you have a chance to potentially buy a property that you really want to buy.
Yeah. What is the advantage of buying something brand spanking new?
Well, there's a lot of benefits. The main one is that it's more affordable. I think you've got better insurance rates. In general, if you're looking at two homes side by side, let's say they're both 1,800 square feet. One is brand new roof, new everything, home warranty, all that kind of stuff, and the other one's maybe 20 years old. No flood zone, everything's the same except for the age. You're looking at a probably $1,500 to $2,000 price difference in insurance, and that can be like 40–50% of your insurance rate. So I mean, that's, if you want to make it affordable, make it to where the insurance is less. And new construction offers that, because after 2012, the building codes here changed, and then the insurance rates are better based on the new builder codes. So I think that's really one of the main things. Another one is that you get a home warranty with a new build, and a lot of the builders today, especially the production builders, are offering incentives as far as buying down the interest rate or paying your closing costs and those kind of things, and makes it less expensive to buy a home today.
Is there? I'm glad you mentioned production developers. Is there a benefit to going with someone that's a production developer as opposed to someone who's maybe a private developer contractor?
Yeah.
Yeah, that part.
The more money, the more custom.
Sure.
Yeah. So I mean, but then again, too, you get what you want. I think a lot of times people feel like the production builders, where you see homes that feel like you just drove by one day and then you drove by the next day, and these homes just pop out of the ground, and they just feel like they're kind of. I think a lot of people feel like homes are built too fast, and they kind of feel like they are built to where they're shortcuts, but that's really not true. What happens is when you build something over and over and over, you get very, very good at it. And it becomes much more efficient.
Yeah.
So what it took 6 to 9 months to build 20 years ago, now it's taking 3 to 4 months. And of course, now if they're building a ton, it's hard to get with trades and your contractors and make sure that they're doing what they need to do. But I think that's generally the idea. Everybody feels like they're cutting corners because how fast they're building, and it feels like they're building them too fast. But it really comes down to efficiency, and they've got it down to a science.
I was going to say, it's when you're watching them build, these pieces are coming in on pallets, and what people are putting together board by hand is now this entire structure, part of the structure is already built. It just comes in, they just move it across and attach it.
Yeah, the trusses already come in shipped. So what's the framing for the roof is already kind of done, and yeah, it's just becoming a much more efficient build process. And the trades know when to work together, and they're scheduled side by side. And you're going from this house and then to this house next door, not across the to the coast, and you're going from Picayune to Gulfport or whatever.
Right.
So for trades.
Well, and it looks a lot different. When you go into it, when you're looking at houses, you go into one that was built in the 70s, 80s.
Yeah.
You go into the attic and like there's so much room to move around, but then you go into them today and you're like ducking from. So it's a completely different concept.
Yeah. And it's a much more modern build. I think you've got a lot less wasted space in new construction homes, so they're more efficient. Of course, the build product itself is definitely more efficient when it comes to your power bill as well. So
let's take a look. You have a couple of houses available. You're going to have an open house this weekend?
I am on 2 homes that we've got at Florence Gardens, 12109 and 12105 Creole Way. These 2 homes are side by side. They're the last 2 Elliott homes available in Florence Gardens. Brand new. One's $370,000, one's $383,000. One's 3-bedroom, 3-bath. The other one's 4-bedroom, 3-bath. Florence Gardens, I love out there. The neighborhood, you've got a lot of amenities. You've got the lake out there. It's a planned development, and also the the farmers market and the pool, community pool, and it's just a very walkable, nice place to live.
And it feels far enough away without being far away.
It does. You're kind of in the middle of everything. You're convenient to a lot of the entertainment and the interstate and Highway 49.
Yeah, and you can get where you got to go. Again, you're not far from Highway 49 or Canal.
True.
Like either direction, you can get pretty easily to I-10. I love Florence Gardens. It's a beautiful area. We've even had a couple of dream homes out there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and it's a beautiful neighborhood. They've really designed it well, and the amenities and the Hope Academy out there, and there's get so many different benefits for being out there. Of course, there's HOA dues like a lot of different places, but still, you get what you pay for, and it's a great way to live, I think.
I love the service road in the back to get to the driveway.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that here in a lot of places. I used to live in Celebration in Florida when I worked at Disney, and everything is like that there. You don't have a choice. Like they don't want to see you don't want to see your driveway from your garage from the front, and you got to go around back. So it's a completely different setup, but I like the way that works.
Yeah, it's definitely a different way than maybe more people are looking at traditionally. Sure. But I think it works. It definitely, and you get just everything's going to get used to something. But I think it's definitely one of those things that give more appeal to that property out there, and it's more of a front porch kind of community.
Sure. Well, listen, if you have questions, if you're looking to get into the real estate business, if you're looking to buy an investment property, or you're an agent and you maybe think that eAgent might be something that works for you and works for your setup, give Justin a call. You see that number there, 228-400-2555 is the number we have on the screen. Justin.eagent.com, that's the website. Give them a call. He can answer your questions about home buying. If not, he will get you into the hands of the mortgage folks, the lenders there that can help you get ready for that process. Or if you're ready to join the team at eAgent, Justin and his folks will chat with you about that as well. Justin, thanks for being here.
Definitely, love to chat.
All right, we will see you right back here next week for Expert Alert.
Thank you for joining us for Expert Alert. We'll feature more experts at the same time next Thursday.